Marjorie was trying to say her daughter's name, and the word was not coming. She knew what the word was. She had been saying it for 26 years, since they brought Nora home from the hospital and unwrapped her in the kitchen, and looked at each other over this small new person, and agreed that Nora was exactly right. She knew it. She could see the letters. The word was not coming. She was standing in the kitchen at 4:15 in the afternoon with a wooden spoon in her hand and the specific bewilderment of someone whose brain has just done something their brain has never done before. And Barley was sitting in front of her. Barley was the family's 7-year-old Labrador. He had been beside Nora since she was born, through the crawling stage and the walking stage and the stage that was currently happening, which was the stage where Nora, now 26 months, required supervision in all directions simultaneously and had recently learned to climb. He had spent 6 years performing no particular function except being present and being Barley. He was now sitting directly in front of Marjorie, looking at her face and making a sound she had never heard him make. Not a bark, not a whine, a sustained, low vocalization that she could feel as much as hear, a sound with weight in it directed precisely at her. She looked at him. She thought, why is he doing that? She thought, I need to sit down. She thought, I cannot feel my left hand. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you are in the right place. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one. She sat on the kitchen floor because it was closer than a chair. Barley moved with her. He pressed himself against her left side, the side she could not feel, and continued making the sound. She looked at her left hand in her lap. She could not feel it. She could not feel anything from her left shoulder to her fingertips, and the word she had been trying to say was still not available. Her phone was on the counter above her. She looked at it. She understood that she needed to use it, but the sequence of how to use it, unlock, navigate, dial, was processing very slowly, as though each step required separate permission. She raised her right arm and got the phone off the counter. She pressed the button on the side. She said, or tried to say, call Philip. Her voice was there. It was slurred. She could hear it, slurred in a specific way that scared her because she had heard it described before. She had a sister who had worked in neurology for 12 years. She knew what slurred, sudden onset speech combined with unilateral numbness was. She said, call Philip. The phone called Philip. He was her husband. He answered on the second ring. She said, something is wrong. She said, I need you to come home. She said it slowly because the slowness was all she had. He said, I'm coming 911 right now. She sat on the kitchen floor with Barley pressed against her left side. Nora was in the living room. She could hear her. She was fine. She had the toys. Barley did not go to Nora. He stayed against Marjorie, the sound still coming from him steady and present, and she understood that whatever he was doing, she should not be alone. She did not want to be alone. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. The paramedics arrived in 9 minutes. They were professional and fast and moved with the specific, purposeful calm of people who know what they are looking at. They did not say the word stroke to Marjorie in the kitchen. They said it later at the hospital, where a neurologist reviewed the imaging and identified a right hemisphere ischemic event, a clot, small in a location that had produced the specific symptom presentation she had experienced. She had received the tissue plasminogen activator infusion within 47 minutes of symptom onset. The neurologist told her that the window for TPA administration is 4.5 hours, and that outcome quality is directly correlated with treatment timing. He said, you were very fast. She said, I was on the floor for 12 minutes before my husband called. He said, even so, he said, the functional outcomes in cases with this treatment timing are typically very good. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. She asked her sister, who drove out from the city the following day, about the dog. Her sister had spent 12 years in neurology and had a precise and sentimental relationship with the research literature. Her sister said, "There are documented cases of dogs alerting to stroke onset before the person experiencing the stroke has identified the symptoms themselves. The prevailing hypothesis involves autonomic nervous system changes. The changes that occur in the minutes before and during an ischemic event produce changes in cortisol, in adrenaline, in the biochemical composition of sweat and breath. Dogs register this shift before humans can name what they are experiencing." She paused. She said, "He was also probably responding to your body language, the way you were standing, things that happened in your movement or your breathing that you weren't aware of." She looked at Barley on the floor of the hospital room where Philip had brought him on the second day when it became clear that Marjorie's recovery would be better with him present. She said, "He knew before you did, didn't he?" Marjorie looked at the dog lying with his chin on his paws, watching her with the particular attentiveness he had always applied to her face, the same attentiveness she had been seeing for 7 years and had always understood as loyalty, and which she now understood was also something more specific. She was home in 10 days. She recovered fully over 6 weeks. The speech returned first, the left-hand sensation last. Barley slept beside her bed every night of the recovery. He had not done this before. He did it now. Nora climbed up and asked him questions he could not answer, and he answered them anyway with his tail.